What's going on, you guys? Come on in, make yourselves at home, and thank you for being here. We got another episode of Jimmy Rants in store for you, and I did it again. I left the microphones off. I'm going to turn them on now, so we should be able to hear me a little clearer on my Facebook and my Instagram page. Hello, guys. Thanks for being here. We are Jimmy Rants, so go to jimmyrants.com, and you can see all the past episodes of what we're doing here on this show. What we try to do here is provide some encouragement and education. Generally, it's usually around keto, fasting, and all that kind of stuff. Lately, though, with the coronavirus dominating the news, I felt like, you know what, I need to use this platform to be a source of positivity and encouragement and uplifting, because quite frankly, we need that right now, and we need it now more than ever before. And I hope a lot of you are enjoying what we're doing here, the content. So jimmyrants.com, go check out all the past episodes there. We're also on YouTube. If you type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. And we do this show from Instagram Live. I also simulcast over on Facebook Live, but follow me on Instagram, and I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN, and we'd love to have you engage in the show. So today, I have been thinking so much, you guys, about what the lasting lessons from this social isolation will be, because I have a very unique position in talking about this, because it was just prior to all this going down where people were forced into being in isolation socially from people, that I was on a purposeful 6-month social isolation from people. I got back from sabbatical on March the 1st. I had been gone since September the 1st. So I learned how to be with myself in my own thoughts and thinking in the midst of a purposeful being away. Well, a lot of you guys, you didn't purposely want to be away right now. You did not want to be basically quarantined. Some people have said they feel like they're a prison in their own home, right? And that's how you feel right now. And so there is such great lessons that can come from this kind of thing happening. And I did some Jimmy Rants about this a few days ago, but I want to put a finer point on it, because I took pen to paper, literally pen to paper, about all these kind of lessons that I've noticed about my own self, and see if you see yourself in here. And I definitely encourage you to do this exercise for yourself. What are some of those lasting lessons? And I know we're still in the midst of it, but start thinking now. How has your life changed? How are you thinking differently? What are some things that you maybe didn't realize you were doing or not doing before that you are now, that you will then implement once this is all done? And so I have put down on paper 10 lasting lessons from socially isolating myself during this COVID-19 coronavirus crisis. And I thought I would let you guys in on what this list is. I'm sure the list will grow a little more as this continues on. And again, I have a unique perspective on this because of my 6-month sabbatical time away. I was already way ahead of the schedule in kind of thinking about these things. And now all of this is popping up. It's really put a finer point on a lot of these things I'm going to tell you about today. So you guys ready? Here we go. The first lesson: I appreciate freedom more than I've ever appreciated it before. Have you noticed that? Like, you have this urge within your mind to go hop in your car and just go somewhere. I think we all have had those moments where, and then you just stop yourself and go, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. And so we take for granted in the day-to-day that we can just pop in our cars and go. And there's parts of the country right now, and even in the world, where people are forced to stay in their house. Like, they have to stay in. I was watching a news report on Facebook a while ago, and on there was a reporter in the Bahamas who said that he tried to leave the premises of the station that he worked for, the TV station, to go report on whether people were actually staying in their homes or not, because they were forcing it. And he had a member of the police force basically come at him and threaten him and say, get off the road or we're going to arrest you, kind of thing. And so, you know, people are so used to being able to do certain things. And when you're not able to do those things, it makes you appreciate your freedom. So are you noticing that? That you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how precious having that freedom to just up and go at a whim and on my own terms really is. And that's one thing I've learned, guys, that I still get out, but I'm going at specific times of the day. I talked about this the other day. When I go out to get something, I usually go like in the middle of the night. There's nobody out and about, and you got like pharmacies open and convenience stores, and I get little things then. I do go to the grocery store. They don't open till like 7 o'clock in the morning, but I try to go early before there's a lot of people and then get it and go. I did have to go to Sam's Club because I was out of water and I needed more water, and then they limited you to 1, which was weird. I understand we're trying to keep people from hoarding, but if I'd gotten 3, that would have covered me for a little while. And so only able to get 1 makes me have to go back sooner than I wanted to get out. So, yeah, trying to do the social isolation thing is really, really difficult. And especially when you're used to having that freedom to just go. So I appreciate that freedom so much more now than I ever have before. And when this is all over, let's not forget what a precious gift this freedom is. So that's one. If you're just joining us, I am talking about some lasting lessons that I've noticed already from socially isolating during this coronavirus COVID-19 crisis. We're doing it to try to flatten the curve and prevent the spread of this so that the hospitals that are getting overwhelmed right now with patients can handle this better. I heard from a medical doctor friend of mine today, and he said this is unlike anything I've ever seen. He's working on the front lines helping patients with this disease. And he said this is unlike anything I've ever seen, and we are literally at the fullest capacity now. And we can't take on anybody else, and it's going to get to the point where we have to make decisions. And so we need to do our part socially isolating, but in the midst of that, you're learning to appreciate things. So we're going to talk about that. Appreciating freedom more. Okay? Next one. I know exactly who matters the most in my life. In times of trouble, in times of crisis, you always kind of hearken back to who matters the most. I think about people like my mom, and I call her and talk to her, and we have nice conversations. She matters to me. She's one of the biggest people in my life that I will always be grateful for, literally gave me birth and allowed me to be here. She matters to me. I've got friends in my life that I talk to very regularly on the phone, on video chat, and we're talking quite a bit because I'm very social, and not being able to be social in person with people is a little bit nerve-wracking. But you know who cares about you the most because they're the ones texting you and calling you and checking in on you at this moment. I'm very fortunate because of what I do for a living to have lots of virtual friends who literally do contact me from time to time all over the world. But not everybody has that. And so who matters the most in your life, you get to figure it out right now. Like if you're wondering who cares about you and who you care about, it's the people contacting you and who you are contacting right now. And it's where the rubber meets the road of who matters the most to you. Number 3, again, these are the 10 lasting lessons that I'm learning from this social isolation from the COVID-19 crisis. I've learned that I'm resilient when life suddenly shifts directions. A lot of people right now are so freaking overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by the fears that they're having in their heart. And I get the fear, you guys. People, they're scared because of the uncertainty. We've done a lot of Jimmy rants about this lately, so I don't want to belabor the point. But the point is people are freaking out. People are acting abnormal. People were already crazy before this. Now they're really crazy, rapidly so in a lot of ways. And so I know for me, again, the sabbatical before all this hit for me helped a lot. 6 months away, I learned how to deal with a lot of the things people are having to learn to deal with right now. And I realized I'm so resilient. Like when this hit, I was like, okay, got to be holed up in the house for a while. And we just heard reports out of the State Department today, this could go on into June. And so if we're going to have to be holed up in our houses to June, and you weren't prepared for that, and you didn't have like a plan in your head, or at least an ability to deal, this could be overwhelming you right now. But for me, I've learned, wow, like I'm handling this pretty well. I'm pretty resilient. Have you noticed that you're resilient? If you don't, then maybe over time it'll get there, and maybe the next time something hits or something in your life happens, you'll be able to bounce back pretty quick, and it won't impact you that much. Like I'm able to come on here every single day on Jimmy Rants and to be positive and to be uplifting and encouraging. Number one, because that's my heart, but number two, because I'm not letting this stress me. I'm not getting overwhelmed by the fear. And if we kind of take that proactive approach, then it makes you a lot more prone to be resilient, okay? So resilience is underrated. I think it's everything right now. And if you're not being resilient and bouncing back from all that initial fear and initial shock of all this about a week and a half ago, it's going to overwhelm you and take you. So learn to be resilient sooner than later. Number 4, I have a greater clarity of what my purpose is in the world. And for me, I realize I've always had gifts and talents that I've tried to use for good, to help other people, to educate, encourage, and inspire. I've always had that. But I realize my purpose is much greater than just talking about keto, just talking about fasting, cholesterol. I could wax eloquently on all of those subjects without really thinking that much. My purpose is not to provide discouragement or negativity or to be anything but uplifting and calm and have a calming sense right now. When all this went down, I made the decision, you know what? People need someone they love and trust and can look up to that will give them hope. Some lady wrote me today, she works in a CVS pharmacy, and she said it's just been overwhelming, like the number of people having to come in to be put on mental health drugs right now. And it's just taxing them to no end. And they're just totally overwhelmed right now. And she comes home and the first thing she does is turn on Jimmy Rants. That's when you know what you're doing matters. That's when you know you have a bigger purpose in this world than just existing. And I encourage you in this time that we're all kind of being quarantined and put away and trying to stay safe, I encourage you, find your purpose as well. There is nothing special about Jimmy Moore, I can promise you that. All I am is a man who has always sought to be the best version of myself I can be. And so if you're not doing that in this time, when are you going to do it? Like this time right now is your golden opportunity to determine what your purpose is in this world. And maybe you've always wanted to do X, whatever X is. Maybe you have a plan that you wanted to go into business for yourself, which, by the way, I've been thinking of a Jimmy Rants idea, and let me know what you think about this. I'm wanting to do a Jimmy Rants where if you have a business idea or an idea that you think I can add input to, I want to dedicate a full Jimmy Rants episode where you bring me your idea and I'll vet it back to you. I'll tell you, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Why don't you try this, and how about this, and here's how you can do it, da-da-da. If you'd like for me to do something like that, I'm more than happy. I do it all the time, helping people anyway. How cool would it be to do it in real time and offer you feedback? So if you want me to do that, let me know, and then we can plan to do that sometime this week. Next one, again, the lessons from the social isolation during the COVID-19 crisis. I am grateful for all the simple things. Things like human contact, a smile from a stranger, hugs, affection. Those of you that are living alone, you're probably missing a lot of that stuff. You are. I remember when I went into a convenience store at 3 o'clock in the morning about 3 or 4 days ago, that person that was working at the store was literally like the first person I'd seen in a while, like physically seen. And I got this overwhelming sense of, oh my gosh, like I forgot how much I missed being around other human beings. And that's the way we're wired, you guys. Now, not everybody is wired that way. There's some people that are very happy to stay away from all human beings all the time. I'm not one of those people. I need people in my life. And while I don't see you guys, I do get a little bit of that from you guys, knowing that you're here watching me on the other end of this iPad, iPhone. I see you guys leaving comments, and so I can feel that. But there's something about being in contact and in proximity with other human beings. Now, even if you're in your family and you've got your kids and your spouse and all the people in your life, that counts. But I know you're probably missing like friends and coworkers and other people in your life, because we all need human contact. We all need to be smiled at and smile back at people and hug people and have affection. And we're doing it for a purpose right now. We're avoiding those things for a purpose. But don't think that they don't matter. And so I'm grateful for those things. And when I get back, when things get back some semblance of normality, I already hug a lot of people. I'm going to hug everybody. It's going to be one of those things that I'm going to be more intentional about to show my gratitude for it. Next one, I have a genuine love and compassion for other people that I now know is real. Like when all this went down, the first thing I thought of was all the people that were stressing about this and the mental anguish they were going through and how it was driving them to eat crappy garbage because they needed comfort food. My heart hurt for other people. And when your heart hurts, it means you care. And when you care, you have deep love and respect and compassion for your fellow human beings. When crisis hits is when you realize what you really believe deep down inside. And I've discovered that, you guys. I already knew I had a heart for people, but man, this thing here has just like turned that up full blast. Which is why I come on here every single day. I haven't done a Jimmy Rants about keto in about 2 weeks now. And it's by design. We could talk about keto if you want to, but I feel like the heart that I have for people right now, keto's irrelevant. It's just not relevant right now. People want to be encouraged. They want to see a happy face. They want to see familiarity. They want to hear calm. They want positivity. That's what we're so desperately needing now more than ever before. And I can provide that. Those are things that are within my realm. And because my heart is there with you guys, thinking about you in a very deep way, I now know that's real. Very real within me. All right, 4 more. Life is too short to get bogged down by things that simply don't matter. How much of our lives do we live worrying about things that really at the end of the day don't matter a hill of beans? You know what I'm talking about. We live in such a superficial society these days where we have to make up stuff to worry about. Then when something really is concerning, like this coronavirus COVID-19 thing comes along, it makes you realize all those things you thought were a big deal really weren't a big deal at all. Politics is the worst at this, by the way. There is such pettiness right now, and I'll peek in at Twitter just to kind of see what's happening, and it's just, oh, this is happening in the world, and we need to blame X person for this, and they're horrible, and da-da-da-da. And I'm going, really? Like, at the end of the day, does that matter? Like, are we trying to see who's right and who's wrong? How about we just show love and compassion for our fellow human beings? Why make it a big deal? Why get bogged down by all these things that just don't matter? You guys notice that? Like, all those things that you thought were so important before all this went down, and now you go, why did I ever worry about that? Like, why was that a thing? It's only a thing because we make it a thing up here. But we need to let those things go because they don't matter. They don't matter. If they mattered, then you would be worried about them now. And how many of you are worrying about a lot of those things that you were worried about before all this hit? Most of that stuff goes by the wayside, which makes you think, do I need to be worrying about them at all? I hope that's something you simmer on in your head a little bit, especially once this is all over. Before you start worrying about something, does this really matter? And one of the litmus tests I always do is, 1 year from now, will I still be just as worried about whatever it is that I'm worried about now? 1 year from now, will I still be worried about it? And if you're not, maybe it's something you should let go and not worry about, not get bogged down by. You feel me? Next one. And it kind of goes along with the one I just talked about. We have a whole lot more in common than we want to admit. For all the differences that they talk about, especially here in America, well, we have people on this side of things and this side of things, vegans, carnivores, Democrats, Republicans, religious people, atheists. We all have a lot more in common than we want to admit. And it's crazy that it takes tragedy and crisis to shine a bright light on that truth. Are you noticing that? Are you noticing that around the world, this is the first time I think in our, at least modern history, and definitely in my lifetime, where the entire world is dealing with a crisis. And so if the whole world is dealing with it, we're all having to deal with the fears that are out there. We're all having to deal with having to do things outside of our comfort zone to help protect society. We have a shared commonality right now, and it's fighting this thing that threatens to tear apart economically, our health system, lots of things. We have a lot more in common than we want to admit. So it makes you wonder, why is there such perceived division? Why be divided? Why not unite behind what we do have in common? And what we have in common right now is we care about each other, and we want to all be whole. We want to get on the other side of this. We need to rally together. About the closest thing I've seen to this, at least from a cultural standpoint of trying to bring unity rather than division, was right after 9/11. So when 9/11 hit, the country was united for a good few months. There was patriotism and da-da-da. And then, of course, it got ugly after that. But why do we have to have the division? Why do we have to have an us versus them? That, well, you don't believe like I do. Well, you're my enemy. And that's such bull, guys. Like, seriously. Seriously. It's stupid. So stupid. And maybe this is the thing that will wake us up to that. Maybe we'll realize we should rally together and have more kindness towards each other than ever before. If times of crisis don't bring you together, I don't know when you will come together. So let go of those things that you think divide you and unite behind the things that you have in common. All right, 2 more. I want to be more selfless and giving than I've been before. Now, I've always felt like I've been selfless and giving in my life. I feel like when you've been blessed in your life, you give. You give. You give. You put aside yourself and your own needs and you help other people. But guys, when you know that there are people that are much worse off than you in the midst of a crisis, it makes you want to be all the more giving and all the more selfless. Those of you that have older people in your life that are susceptible to the possibility of this COVID-19 getting them and possibly doing harm to them, you want to do everything you can to help those people. And you'll be selfless in trying to help them. I love the stories about the younger people who are going to older people and saying, hey, what can I go get for you? I know you need some food. I know you need, God forbid you need toilet paper. They're not to be found right now, but you need something. Can I go get it for you? That's selflessness, you guys. That's giving. Like, are we looking for those opportunities to do those kinds of things? A lot of people are. And maybe that's something you've never had within you before. But I feel that need for myself to be even more selfless and more giving than ever before. Then the last one. Love the life you've been given because it can be taken at any moment. Are you taking stock in your life right now? Are you realizing, oh my gosh, like I was taking my life for granted. I just assumed I was going through the motions of life, that this was the best it was going to be, and just living your life as if, okay, this is life. Hopefully now that you're in the midst of a crisis, you're seeing that there's more to life than just what you think it was. Love your life more. Realize there's so much more to this. It makes you appreciate what you have even more. All right, so those are the 10 lasting lessons that I've noticed so far from socially isolating during this COVID-19 coronavirus crisis. I definitely want to see what you guys have to say. So I'm going to go to Instagram Live first. If we have time, we'll go to Facebook Live. And thank you guys over at the Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page. Can't see you, but I know you're there. Thank you for your comments. Definitely be sure to leave them. I'll check them when we're done here today. But welcome in, welcome in. As always, go to jimmyrants.com. And you can see all the past episodes also on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You'll find the show. Danielle says, Jesus must be coming soon. It feels like it. A lot of people feel like this is kind of the end time. So you're not the only one who believes that. So I'm not surprised that somebody would say that. Linda says, good morning. I always look forward to your lives whenever you do them. I'm trying to do them every day. I took a day off the other day just because, what was it, yesterday? Yesterday I did do it, Jimmy Rants. I took a day off recently, but I'm trying to be regular with these. I'm not trying to overwhelm people with too much Jimmy Rants, but I am trying to be an encouragement. So thank you for watching. Amber says, nope, don't want to be isolated. Yeah, none of us really want to be isolated that are social people. And I know you well enough, Amber, to know you're very, very social, and you know Jimmy Moore is too. She said, I've always appreciated freedom, and that's why I'm not a happy camper right now. Never take freedom for granted. We lost some now that we'll never get back, and it makes me sad. Well, hopefully we get it back, or at least we get a better version of it when we do come back. James says, I got my 6 dogs and my video chat, so I'm good. Exactly. I have 2 cats here that I love on every day. Little Skunky over there and Peaches over there. And I also have 22 backyard chickens, which, by the way, in the midst of a crisis where there's food that's hard to come by, having your own backyard chickens is like your own little fresh farm grocery store. They've been laying right at about a dozen a day. So it's like, I'm not going to run out of eggs anytime soon. So that's pretty glorious. But they're also fun creatures to watch, and they do help with some of the stress of all this. Being home has really made me value my friends. I've been more sociable recently than before. James, thank you for saying that, because I think that the finer art of reaching out to people that you love and care about is a lost art in modern society. Yes, we have more tools and ability to connect with people than ever before, but we don't. So if nothing else, maybe you're doing more video chat sessions with people you care about. Maybe you're talking on the phone with people. Maybe you're reaching out by text to people. You've never done that before. That's something that I hope once all this is over, people do a lot more of, because quite frankly, we need each other. Like, I have friends that watch me on Jimmy Rants, and I will have them reach out to me, and they'll text me when it's over and go, oh, thank you for that. I really, really needed to hear that today. Or can I call you and talk to you? I know life goes on even in the midst of a crisis, and things are happening in people's lives. Those things didn't just disappear. This is just another little layer on top of the things you were already dealing with. So I'm grateful for those contacts in my life, and I say we need to keep that going long after this is all over. Nancy says, I'm walking in faith and with a great purpose. Yes, yes, you are. Attitude of gratitude, she said. Always. Nancy says, you give the best hugs. Well, I love hugging people. Like, if you ever come to a keto conference and you don't get a hug from Jimmy Moore, that's your fault, because I'm hugging literally everybody. I love hugs. Really love hugs. Lady Lixel, my brother is a trucker. As he left this morning for a week on the road, he decided that no matter what happens along the way, he will look at it as an adventure with a positive attitude. Well, he probably has a lot less people on the road, so I would think he would love this time probably more than ever, is what I would think, that there's less traffic out there. Obviously, I'm staying at home, so I don't know what the traffic's like out there, but I can't imagine the interstates are full of a lot of people. So that lets him get to his destination quicker and able to do his job a whole lot better. All right, let's go over to Facebook. And again, thank you, Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page, for being here. Can't see what you're writing, but we're going to go over to this Facebook page. Hey, guys, what's going on? See what you guys have to say. Hey there, hope you're doing well. I missed you at Denver, says Bill. Yeah, I wanted to come to Low Carb Denver last week as one of my cats are having a cow over there. Shut up, cat. I'm doing a Jimmy Rants. I wanted to come to Low Carb Denver last week. I was actually supposed to speak at the Adapt Winchester, Virginia event last weekend. Of course, it got canceled because of all this. And then this weekend, yesterday, I was supposed to speak at the Adapt Atlanta event, but that was canceled as well. I think they're trying to reschedule those for the fall. But yeah, I missed all my friends, and this is the sad reality, guys. We're going to have a lot of the keto conferences canceled here in the coming months. I know Paleo FX had moved theirs from April to July. My low carb cruise was supposed to happen in May, but I'm beginning to wonder if it's going to happen. As of right now, it's still on, but it's probably going to be canceled by Royal Caribbean. Then Keto Con was supposed to happen in June. So when these things cancel, just roll with it. It's going to happen. But maybe there's going to be record attendance at some of the ones later in the year because people will be so clamoring to see other people and friends. I miss my keto conference friends. So trust me, when the time comes, if say Low Carb USA is still doing their event in August, or Low Carb Houston, I believe, is in October. There's all kinds of events, and some of these other ones that had to reschedule may reschedule later in the year. So we may just have a delay in when we would normally be going to the conferences, but I'm definitely going to try to be going to some of them. And I definitely want to talk about childhood trauma if I'm asked to speak somewhere. All right, so what you think about that? Is this making you think that, okay, in the midst of all this kind of negativity about what's happening with being socially isolated, are you seeing that there are some positives here, that there are some lessons to be had? I'm hoping so. Like, that was the whole point of this Jimmy Rants. It's the whole point of everything I'm doing right now, is making you think of this is not as gloom and doom as we think. So be encouraged, my friends. Realize this will not last long, but the lasting effects from this don't have to be a negative one. Let's let the lasting effects be something that transforms your life, that you'll do things during this time that could make a difference in the world long after all this is over. All right, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can go see the past episodes over at JimmyRants.com. You can also go to YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. And finally, follow me live on Instagram Live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And yeah, we'll keep doing our thing, you guys. Thanks for being out there. And until next time, we'll see you then.